If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back, civilians, to the home of elevation, growth, and experience. Some of you may know, some of you may not know, I am the civilized woman. Welcome back, y'all, to the Civilized Woman channel. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I'm coming before y'all again. I finally got to see part 2 of the interview that Evelyn and her daughter Shaniece did with the game. I was working on a video for part 1, and then it just so happens that by the time I was putting that together, part 2 came out. So that worked out that I could just put the two of them together on their podcast called Drop the Low. Let me just say that Evelyn Lozada is exactly who we think she is. And in my opinion, she is her daughter's biggest op. Watching that both parts of those interviews, I had secondhand embarrassment. That first part felt like Evelyn and the game had been with each other. Like the chemistry between them, the energy between them, she was giddy. You could see both parts. You could see all 32 of her teeth at every given moment. And it's crazy to me. It's very interesting for as street savvy, because she's what a lot of people would say is for the streets. She, with all the street savvy that she's had, it's very sad that she did not put her daughter up on game. And I have a thought as to why she did not put her daughter up on game. I remember Shaniece from when Basketball Wives first started, and I was very, very thrown off by the fact that she seemed to be a very well-mannered young lady, very classy, very mild-mannered, soft-spoken, and the energy that Evelyn gives, especially on Basketball Wives, does not match up with the child that she raised. So I would expect that the least she could do is to make sure that the young lady had some street smarts and that she would not be out here getting played by some dude. But unfortunately, I really do think that Shaniece got played by the game. First of all, if y'all notice how they were sitting, like the thumbnail of that video, like he was lean all the way into Evelyn, and Shaniece was just kind of there. At one point, it was like the interview was between Game and Evelyn. Evelyn was so hyped and so giddy to have this interview, to have the Game on this interview, and to talk about how he's the father of her grandchild. Is just very crazy to me. It was like she really came off as like a groupie, if I'm being very, very honest. She was very, very giddy. She was very, very hyped for this interview, and really just would overtalk Shaniece. And the fact that she actually talks to the Game outside of her daughter and outside of her grandson, she's talking to him, getting business advice. And she's treating this almost like it's a come up for her. So for me, it is very evident that Shaniece and the Game were not in a relationship. They did not know each other. This really was a hookup that ended up with a pregnancy. And that's what it gives. And I feel very, very bad for her, because this young lady should not be nobody's baby mama. In my humble opinion, should not be anybody's baby mama. She's very, very classy. And that is one thing I would give Game credit for. He seems to have very, very good taste as it pertains to the mother of his children. He pretty much select women that are wife material, and he turns them into baby mamas, and that's just what it be. And it's just very, very unfortunate, and they have to deal with him for the rest of their lives. And yet he doesn't, he kind of gets to go off on being the fact that he's a guy with the classy and dope baby mothers. Evelyn came off very, very insensitive in this interview to me. She did, and even Shaniece said this, that a lot of times it was very clear there were times that Shaniece needed backup, and she wasn't backing her up. There was time that there were certain things that upset Shaniece, and Evelyn kind of would sided with the game. This man sat here and basically said that just by virtue of your daughter being his baby mom, it's going to make it hard for her to be able to find a husband. And you're giddy and you're laughing and you're showing all your teeth and you just think is just like a really, really good kiki. And you're sitting there hearing your daughter say, certain things were promised. Like, his name is not game for no reason. Like, I'm sure he talks a good game to the point where Shaniece was delusional enough to think that something more was going to come from this. One of the things that struck me is that she wanted to name her son after him. The game has 3 other sons. He has 2 other sons. None of them are named after him. Part of me feel like Shaniece wanted to do that as a way to kind of stand out amongst the other baby mamas, like to say, I'm not really like the rest, in the sense of she doesn't like the term, baby mom. So I think for her, that was going to be kind of a way to kind of solidify that, and also some kind of in the back of the mind that they would be more than what they ended up being. Game saw a young, attractive young lady, and even he mentioned that most men, when they see attractive women, or a lot of men, they think about getting them pregnant. Not think about marrying them, but think about getting them pregnant. He gave me the vibes like it was almost like he wanted the mama and ended up with the daughter. That's how this interview was coming up. Let me just say the ways that I feel like Evelyn failed her daughter and how she is her daughter's biggest op. For the fact that she was sitting there and it was like she was trying to get an opportunity to get in even more deeper with him, talking about when can he take her to Compton? Girl, what? When can he take her to Compton? The fact that she knew that the game was a felon and her daughter didn't know that. Her daughter did not know that. This girl has a baby with this man and did not know that this man was a felon. But Evelyn knew that. And I honestly, thirdly, part of me feel like Evelyn is glad that her daughter is a baby mama. I think part of her don't like it because now it officially makes her a grandmother. Like, she was shocked and she couldn't believe. I'm like, homegirl, you 50, not 30. Like, why are you out here acting like Evelyn still wants to be in the crowd of she can get the guy with the young girls, where she can compete with the young girls. And it's like, nah, boo boo, you're 50. Why do you not think that you should be a grandmother when you made your mother a grandmother far more before than Shaniece has made you a grandmother? But it's because she wants to still compete. It's like her, she wants to be able to have access to the same age range or type of guys that her daughter has access to. And I think she did not prepare her to be able to. She did not go the Marjorie Harvey route, like how Marjorie Harvey did Lori Harvey. It is very clear that Marjorie Harvey put Lori Harvey up on game. No pun intended. Let her know what's what, how to move, so you don't get caught out here slipping, and so you can maximize as much as possible. And Evelyn did not do that for her daughter. But honestly, unfortunately, as classy and as well-adjusted as Shaniece seems to be, based on the mother that she had, she pretty much was just about destined to go down this road. I was very, very shocked to see how green she was, though, and just very sheltered she seemed to be in terms of really being able to pick up on somebody running game on her, for her to have found herself in the position that at her age, she is not only a baby mama, but she is the 3rd baby mama for somebody. And she's not even the 1st baby, but she's the 3rd baby mama. And she has a mama that one of the things she said that, okay, made sense is that I think part of why she didn't really see Game for his works is because Game and her mother are very similar. They're very, very similar. They're very much alike. And I think because she's so used to her mother's ways that she's kind of desensitized to it. So when the Game came with what he came with, she couldn't see it for what it was. And that's unfortunate. However, Evelyn knows what it is. Evelyn's too street savvy to not know what it is. And that's why I think she's her daughter's biggest op, because you knew what it was and you sat there and let her go down that road. I'm sorry, they never gave a backstory as to how they met each other. There was never a backstory that says this is how we met each other. Now, if y'all remember, it kind of came out like a year or so ago that around the time that the Game and his ex-fiance Tiffany had their show, and Basketball Wives, or Chad and Evelyn's show, was kind of around. They kind of was around each other, but they never got into, and people were speculating that Tiffany and Evelyn were actually friends, and that Game was around Shaniece when she was a minor. And so they debunked that, but never really made it clear as to how they got to this place where they got around each other, got familiar with each other, and then her getting pregnant by him. Evelyn said she had no clue and she was shocked when she got pregnant. I have trouble believing that she did not know that her daughter and the Game were messing with each other in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So I just really, really, really believe that this young lady really thought something was what it was not. And you can tell that I'm sure she loves her son, but you can tell that there is regret there. And she just kind of is like, we just pretty much going to be co-parenting. That's about as much as I'm going to be able to get from you. But Evelyn is heavily invested in this situation, more invested than her daughter is. It looks like Shaniece and Game communicate with each other as it pertains to their son, and Evelyn and Game communicate with each other all the time. And I feel like a lot of that is initiated by Evelyn, and then he in kind reciprocates, and he is very much more complimentary to Evelyn than he is to Shaniece. So I just feel like he really wanted the mama and ended up with the daughter. So I hope for Shaniece that she gets on the Sierra track, that she course corrects, because this is a gentleman that she should not have been with to be in this situation, but she is, because life happens. I just hope that she course corrects and she gets her Russell type individual, somebody who is going to love her and cherish her, who is actually going to make her a wife, which she seems to desire. The Game kind of mentioned in there that he wants to get married, but he's not really making any moves to get married. His maturity level still seems to be lacking. I remember when him and his ex-fiance had that short show together, that was part of the problem she had with him. There was a lack of immaturity, and to see him all these years later, mid-40s, and he still seems to have that issue, is kind of crazy. So I hope for her that she can even do better than what her mother did in terms of finding somebody that she can settle down with, and that when she has future children, that they would be in the confines of marriage, and she doesn't find herself like her mother collecting baby daddies. All right, y'all, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.